crooked press, people like stupid Biden. He's not smart enough to know what's going on, but people that surrounded him, surrounded his beautiful, resolute desk in the Oval Office. What they did to the lives of people, they destroyed people. They sent people to jail who did nothing wrong.
All right, just to be very clear, there's no evidence of what you're saying, but let me ask you about Todd Blanche. Let me ask you about Todd Blanche.
Listen to me.
Let's talk about Todd Blanche.
There's tremendous evidence. There's nothing but evidence. The election was rigged. It was a dirty election. And it's happening again right now in California.
You've never presented evidence.
It's happening right now in California.
Right
now, it's look at what's happening in California.
Where's the evidence to that?
It's
the
4 days.
The Republicans are doing well in
California. No, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days, and they aren't even close to coming up with it.
That's how they count the votes.
You know why they're doing that? Because they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence to support
all
that?
All I have to do is look. All I have to do is look.
That's not evidence.
And I listen to people, and let's see what happens.
But, sir, that's not evidence.
Do you think it's appropriate?
That's how they count the votes in California.
Do you think it's appropriate that they have an election, and 5 days later they're nowhere close to picking a winner?
State and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging the votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote in California.
They're crooked, just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's
Really?
Let's
Well,
continue.
You play right into their hands.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid. You play right into their hands with this rap. You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But, Mr. President,
you know why I got that? Because you have no credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about. I want to talk about Todd Blanche.
You have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk about
your elections in this country. We're like a third world country. Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC and CBS and CNN.
But, Mr. President,
you're one-sided crooked networks. All right, let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the rain with you.
I know.
I've sat in the rain with you for an hour, on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press because you know what?
Mr. President,
a country can never be great with a dishonest press.
We traveled all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
That was Trump storming out of an interview with Meet the Press's Kristen Welker after he got visibly frustrated over being posed with the same question that he was incapable of answering. Where is the proof of election fraud that Trump is so insistent on claiming exists? Just a quick note here to say that if you appreciate my work, which is and always will be 100% free, a small ask is if you could please pre-order my new book the day after, which explores how Democrats must finally wield power if they're fortunate enough to get it back. I'll also be on tour in DC, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, and LA in July. You can grab tickets to the tour and you can pre-order the book at the same link, which I'll put on the screen and in the post description of this video. Again, I'll never paywall a single piece of content, but this is the one time that I'll ask for some support for a book that I think really meets this moment. Thanks so much. And the reality is that Trump knows full well that there isn't widespread fraud in California or anywhere in this country, but that's not the point. This is Trump yet again laying the foundation to claim that any results where he or Republicans don't win is somehow illegitimate. When Republicans engage in election denialism, to have plausible deniability for their base to believe them, they need to pretend that this is some rampant, recurring, ongoing theme. It's not, but they know that if they can repeat it enough, it'll still sound true to the people who believe them. Take it from his own former press secretary.
Donald Trump lives in his own reality and he lies casually, but he's very, very good at it. He used to teach me, Stephanie, as long as you keep repeating something, it doesn't matter what you say. And I will bring us back to 2019 when Hurricane Dorian was coming. And Donald Trump wrote on a map that it was going to hit a part of the country that it wasn't going to really hit, even after being briefed by the National Weather Service. So this is something he's done over and over and over. And I really hope that people will understand that this is just what he does.
It is just what he does. And in fact, the point here is to give a permission structure to other Trump mouthpieces to do the exact same thing. Case in point, my debate with the former DHS spokeswoman just days ago on CNN.
Do you think, Katie, that some of the president's language on this is irresponsible and creates a distrust in the system and actually hurts Republicans and may stop them from voting?
I absolutely don't. I absolutely agree that this needs to be looked at. Look, I went to go vote.
Looked at by who?
This needs to be looked at and ensured that the system is secure.
You don't think you think it's not irresponsible for the president of the United States, the person with the biggest megaphone in pretty much in the world, to say that there is voter fraud happening in California with no evidence to actually back up what he's saying? You don't think that's irresponsible?
I think there's evidence, and I don't think it's irresponsible.
But what evidence do you have?
I've named some, and I'm sure
you said that voter rolls haven't been cleaned up, but that's not the same as widespread voter fraud.
If you are not regulating who's going to the ballot box, you are going to inherently get unfair demographic. Look, Democrats, by and large, surge. Rahman has come up a ton in these last ballot drops.
Because those are mail-in ballots, and those are disproportionately and overwhelmingly used by Democratic voters. Because Donald Trump,
a lot of Republicans have started.
The reality is Donald Trump has denigrated mail-in voting, and so that's why Democrats are more likely to use it than Republicans.
He reversed course, and it's a big part of why he won in 2024 is because he said vote early. I mean, he understood that this was an important.
He still raises questions about mail-in ballots all the time.
He just signed an executive order. He just signed an executive order trying to ban mail-in voting. The point is not to prove fraud. The point is just to yell fraud enough that people start to believe it, despite the glaring lack of any proof. In fact, there has never been proof. Aside from the examples that I laid out on CNN, consider the origin of the big lie itself, that the 2020 election was stolen. The issue is litigated in over 65 cases in court. Trump didn't win any, including in front of his own judges, who he himself appointed. So either this is a conspiracy theory so vast that even MAGA judges are in on it, or there has never been any there, and it was always just an excuse to try and do the exact thing that Trump is pretending to be fighting against, which is rigging elections. And I just gotta say, Donald Trump wouldn't have to lie like this if he and his party were able to win on the merits. But they can't, because the whole country knows that he and his party are frauds. They heard him swear up and down that he would focus on bringing prices down, avoiding foreign wars, releasing the Epstein files, ushering in a golden age. Instead, Trump has cut healthcare, cut food assistance, surged prices on everything, sent gas to its highest point in years, launched a new billion-dollar war in the Middle East, covered up the Epstein files, and made himself $4 billion richer. Americans might have fallen for it once, but we are not falling for it again. The reality is that he will keep spreading these lies about election fraud because he thinks his audience is just that stupid and just that gullible. Our job is to push back, to demand proof, demand it over and over and over again, demand one modicum of it. They won't be able to give it because it doesn't exist. And the more these people can be exposed for the liars and the cheats that they are, the less of an impact that'll have. Here we go. I'm very excited to announce that I've written a new book titled The Day After: How to Wield Power in a Post-Trump World. The book explores what is, in my opinion, the single most important theme that we're dealing with in politics today and moving forward: power. Specifically, how Republicans abuse it and how Democrats refuse to wield it. This book explains how we got here and, more importantly, how we should finally wield power if we're fortunate enough to get it back. It is the blueprint for progressives who want to do far more than just restore the status quo. Please pre-order today by visiting the link in the episode description or go to briantylercohen.com/book. You can grab yours from any of the major retailers like Amazon or Barnes & Noble, or find an independent bookstore closest to you that's also listed on that website. Thanks so much for supporting independent media.